Hello, 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 and welcome to Trading Made Easy right here on YouTube. I'm certainly glad that you found yourself here. Glad that you found yourself here. Now, today I'm going to be talking to you about market structure, right? You're going to see a lot of videos moving forward about market structure because in our community, the Super Easy Forex community, we really don't talk much about the basics, right? We really focus our attention on the awesome indicators that we have. And rightly so, because it is so simple, a child can really do it. But here's the thing, there are some basics that we must understand so that we can then maximize the system that we currently have. Now, I get the awesome privilege and pleasure of coaching quite a few individuals utilizing this system. And I'm humbled by that. I'm thankful for that. And I welcome all of you, if you want one-on-one coaching, to certainly book you a time frame, right? But throughout these sessions, one common thing that I am finding is that there is a lack of the basics, a lack of the basics. See, you can certainly learn how to use the system and you can profit, but that's not going to give you longevity. That's going to take you to a certain point, and then the basic understanding would be required to move forward. Little things that may be happening with your trades that you don't understand. It all goes back to the basics. And so that's what I'm going to be focusing on, to provide the community with the basic understanding of Forex, right? And price movement. And we're certainly going to start with market structure. So if you have been finding that you have the system, it is a simple system, it's working for so many others, but it's not working for you, it may be that there's some basic understanding that we need to basically provide, right? And that's where I come in. If you find yourself on a seesaw, you up, you down, or you may find yourself not really quite understanding what's happening, or even how to really maximize the system, what I want you to do is certainly schedule an appointment. I'll leave the links. Everything is in the description of the video. The basics is where we need to start. We have to start at the beginning. Just like any foundation, right? The foundation that we lay is going to determine the strength of the overall structure. So we have the overall structure, if you will, with the Simplicity system and or the triple arrows for those that have that. We have that structure, but is it sitting? Is it sitting? Is it built upon a solid foundation? And that solid foundation must begin with market structure. So that's what we're going to be doing today. You don't see any indicators on the chart. And we're going to basically just go through a couple of pairs and analyze what's happening based on price and price alone. Okay. So what we're looking at right now is EJ. Let me kind of move myself out of the way. We're looking at EJ right now. And let me get my glasses. Now, I am going to make these short videos. And for those of you that are subscribers, first, let me just say thank you so much for you subscribing to the channel. It really does support my mission to help as many individuals as I can to learn how to trade foreign currency and use this awesome, simple system to do it. So thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. For those of you that have not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, be a part of that mission, but also get the valuable content that I'll be providing you so that you, my friend, can begin profiting consistently in the market as well. One thing that I say is trading is not hard. It's not. The skill itself is not hard. It's the internal things that we have to align ourselves with in order to maximize the skill that can be challenging, right? But even with that, we can certainly work through those. We can work through those and make your learning curve just a little bit shorter. My mentors, based on what they have gone through and the challenges they faced and overcame, they shared that, and then they made my learning curve shorter as a result of it. And so I'm paying it forward by sharing with you the challenges that I had and that I've overcome so that your learning curve can be shortened. That's the name of the game. And what I would ask that you do is to pay that forward as well. So everybody learns, right? Everybody learns. All right, so let's go ahead on and begin. EJ. Alrighty, so I do have my big arrow on here, and the only thing the big arrow is doing is really just giving us trend direction. It's just letting us know where price want to go, right? Where price want to go. So right now, as you can see, we came off a pretty long up trend, right? And so now price, this big arrow is telling us that price wants to now go down. It wants to go into a downtrend. Okay, I'm gonna be using lamest terms because it's not that hard. It's not that simple, difficult, right? And so it's no need to make it difficult with these big old fancy terms and words. Listen, we're gonna talk like we talk every day. How about that, right? How about that? So price want to go down, but now it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. It's just there. The big arrow is just there to give us trend direction, to let us know what price want to do. Okay, what price want to do. Now, let me just also let you know, I do have a trading plan. I have 2 trading plans that are very effective. Not going through that here, but again, subscribe to our Facebook group, book yourself a session, all that great stuff, and you'll get that information as you grow closer to the Trading Made Easy family. Right now, just market structure. So price wants to now go down, right? It wants to go down. Now, what I'm expecting right now, just looking at this, I am expecting for it to pull back. Now, when we talk about market structure, we are talking about patterns. We're talking about pivots. We're talking about channels. We're talking about, consolidation. We're talking about those structures that price makes as it's flowing, right? As it's flowing, it makes certain patterns and structure that indicate to us what price wants to do. And so in this case, what I am seeing is the beginning of a M pattern. That's another structure that price creates, right? And it does this throughout, right? Now, one of the great benefits of this system and utilizing, I have the triple, some areas, some elements of the triple with my simplicity. I make it kind of like a hybrid. But one of the benefits of both systems, simplicity and triple arrows, is that it identifies the high of the day and the low of the day. Now, very specific things happen during those time frames. So the system provides that much to us, right? Now, what we have to understand is what typically happens during that time frame. And so what happens during the high of the day is that is the beginning of a very specific pattern that's forming, and that's a M pattern. That's an M pattern. That's also structure. That's also structure. And so what I do see here is that a M pattern is forming, meaning price has come up, just following M. Price has come up, it's coming down. I expect for it to pull back. I expect for it to pull back and then prepare for that second leg to drop. That's what I'm expecting. And so and I'm expecting it to pull back. I'm expecting it to pull back up to this area here. This area here. I'm expecting it to pull back up to this area here. Okay. And drop. Now, another thing that I like to do is this around the 23, somewhere around there. It may have extended past the 23 on the fib. It may not. Let's just check. Let's just check. Let's just check to be sure. Okay. Alrighty. So the 23 is right here. So this is where price came down, right? It hit the 23 and now it closed with a bullish candle. You see that? It closed with a bullish candle, meaning it looks like it want to go back up. And I do expect for it to come back up mid area of the 23, prepare that second leg, and then drop. The second leg will be our momentum leg. And that's what I'm expecting it to drop down to the 38 before it retests the 23. Now, why the 38? Why do I expect it to go to the 38 and then retest? Because let's look at the 38. Now we're looking at structure. We're looking at structure. So let's take off the tool, because here's the thing. The tools should only act as an aid to what you already understand. Please remember that, right? And then we use our tools and it says what we identify, great, we can move on. So let's look at structure. What is happening? around in here. Okay, so price moved up, hit this area, and then it dropped. I call that a pivot, right? So that's a structural area right here. What else is going on in this area? Looks like we have some consolidation going on in this area, wouldn't you say? That's also structure, right? Consolidation is also structure. Now, we don't trade consolidation, right? We don't trade consolidation. We wait for a breakout. We wait for a breakout. So this area right here created a flag pattern. And what are we waiting for? A breakout. The breakout is typically the pole of the flag. So it broke out, right, to the upside. And that was great. So now price, when price gets back into this general area, I'm expecting some type of reaction. Why? Because when price came up to this point, it reacted. It hit this area and then it dropped. It dropped down. It created a flag. It created a flag, right? So this, right, in this whole area right here, we can just say, I'll do a trend line. So this whole area right here is an area of interest, right? Or an area that we're going to pretty much watch, right? I'm just drawing these little boxes right here. It really don't mean much. I'm just boxing it in for the most part because I don't want to use the highlighter. Nevertheless, right? So I'm expecting, I don't like that. That looks convoluted. So I am expecting that if price goes into this area, that it will react as well. That's what I'm expecting. Now on the fib, this is around the 38. So if price comes down to the 38, which is in this area where price had a reaction, I'm expecting a reaction there as well. Now we're moving in a downtrend, right? We're moving in a downtrend. So if I'm expecting a reaction, what would that reaction be? It would be the opposite. It would be an uptrend, right? Not an uptrend, but a bullish move up, back to retest the 23. See how that works? So we had a reaction here. Price was moving up. It reacted. And what happened? It pushed down, right? And then we consolidated. In this consolidation area, we have bulls and bears just bouncing up and down between the two trend lines. So right now, we're back, right? If it comes down to the 38, which is around in this area, and it reacts, we expect an opposite move, which would be a pullback up. It's just really that simple. Pull back up, test the 23. Now, when it tests the 23, if it does not break above the 23 and close, it just tests the 23, I'm expecting for price to drop. I'm expecting price to drop. And from that point, I'm expecting price to drop to the next structural area. Where's the next structural area? Wouldn't you say? Right here. Nice little consolidation going on. That is structure, my friend. That's structure. So I'm expecting price to come back to this area right here. And even if we look further out, we have structure right here as well, right? Structure right there as well. So right at this point here, okay, and in or around in this area is where I expect price to have a reaction. We have structure right here as well, right? I consider this structure. Price moved up. Price moved up, right? And then what did it do? Price moved up and then it consolidated and dropped. So that is a structural area too that we want to be mindful of as well. Okay, so that's what I'm expecting with EJ. I'm expecting that with EJ. Now, keep in mind news events, unforeseen events that can impact price action, that can certainly happen. So barring all of those things, this is the direction that I see price going in on EJ, And that was simply identifying structure without the indicators. Now, if I put my indicator, let's put an indicator, let's put the support and resistance on here. Well, actually what I'll do, well, let's go here. I'm gonna put my intraday support and resistance on here. Okay. Alrighty, so we got the dots, right? We have the dots. Now, let's take a look. Did the dots line up with our analysis? Absolutely, absolutely. Now, remember this too. The dots are populated in what we call a zone, right? General area around the market structure. So the only price that's fixed, that's a definite, is the opening and closing of the candle. All the movement that takes place in and around that until that happens, thus what we call a zone. And the support and resistance dots, they populate in zones. So it's not exact, right? It's the zone, and that's perfectly okay. In this case, yeah, right smack dead. And right here, where my consolidation low, right there. Look at the dots right here. Right there, right? So look at the dots right here. Okay, look at the dots right here as it is in the zone, So what that tells us is that our understanding of market structure, where this is concerned, the system, the indicator system agrees. Excuse me. It agrees, right? And that's how it should be. It should be an aid to what you understand price to be doing. And then that way you can better maximize the system. And I teach this more in depth. So make sure that you connect with me utilizing the links that's in the description, and we can peel that onion back. So that's what I'm looking for EJ. Okay, so let's take these dots off, because we don't want to create a crutch. We want to understand what price is doing. And we want to do this on a naked chart, meaning just price, because price is what moves the indicators, right? The indicators do not move price. So we have to understand price. We have to understand what it's doing. The indicators, the support and resistance dots, they're just there to guide your eye to price. Oftentimes what I'm finding is that there's a lot of focus and emphasis on the dots, what the dots are saying, right? But we need to see what the price is saying, what these candles are saying, what patterns are being made, what's actually happening as it relates to market structure, okay? So that was EJ. Let's do Ozzy. I'm actually in this pair closed, in this pair here. Let's go to GU. Let me take this off. We're going to GU, okay? This is one that I was analyzing actually. Okay, so what's going on with GU? We're in the supply zone, which is the sell zone, right? We're in the zone, okay? And what we want to look for is this follow price came up, we went down. This is a doji. I'm expecting a pullback, right? Here's the thing. Price does not just drop to the floor, it does not just shoot to the sky. At some point, it's going to pull back, right? It's going to pull back. So you have your impulsive move, and then after an impulse, you have a correction. So anytime, so you have your big arrow here, and the move is an impulsive move, right? After the big arrow, bearish big arrow, price is going down. That first move is the impulsive move. So after an impulse, we're looking for a correction, a pullback. And I'm typically looking for that pullback to test this area again. I'm looking for it to test this area again. And look left. So let me go ahead on and put identify this structure, right? Look at that structure. What is it? It is consolidation, but that structure, right? So let's take a look at that. Price always respects structure. And when I say respect structure, meaning it revisits those areas. So we did break out of this area, this consolidation area. We broke out right here, this candle right here, this bearish candle broke out right there. And then it kind of pulled back, and it looks like it wants to drop. It did retest. This is a retest. So this bullish candle retested the bottom here, right? It retested that area, and then it looks like it wants to drop. And that just may happen, right? So let's look left. The next structural area that I am seeing obviously is right here. We have a little something going on right here. A little something. a little something. Oops. Right? Just a little something right here. Price came up, then we pushed back, and then we shot up, right? So we have a little something right there. All we're doing is identifying these structural areas because these are areas where price will potentially revisit, okay? Price will potentially revisit, okay? So we're down in here, but let's focus our attention up in this area right here. Okay, so price did break through, it retested, right? And then it looks like it started to drop, okay? And so what I would expect if price does not, I'm expecting price to come back up in this area though. I am expecting price to come back up in this area. So I'm expecting price, I'm sorry, let me get the wrong two, right? So it closed right here, right in this area, right in this area. So I'm expecting price to push back, okay? And that's pretty much around the same area as the bearish candle in the same zone, right? And I'm expecting for it to push back up inside of this area. That's what I'm looking for. And so if price does that, push back up, test that area, and then of course, I'm expecting for it to come back down and go down to the next structural area, which would be right around in this space, somewhere around in this space, right? So now what I like to do is when I do that, what I like to do is I like to pull out my fib. And so we're looking around about the 23, okay? Looking around about the 23. Yep, it was 23 right here, okay? So price has not reached the 23 yet. Yeah, it has not reached the 23 yet. And that further supports my analysis. So when price breaks the 23, right, then your momentum of that trend actually is beginning at that point, right? Of course, price is always going to pull back. But at that point, when it breaks that 23, that's when the momentum of the trend is beginning, right? Is beginning. Remember, news events, unforeseen circumstances globally can certainly, cause price to do some craziness. We all know that. But just from a structural standpoint, that is typically what happens when price breaks the 23. And in this case, it had not done that yet. So it just supports what I'm saying as far as it pulling back into this area. It's going to pull back. Well, it's not, I don't know, but I'm expecting it to pull back in this area and then drop and break that 23. And that 23 break is right around in this next structure. So see how that just all lined up with market structure, right? All lined up. And so once it comes to this area and if it closes below, then I'm expecting for it to retest and drop. I'm expecting it to retest and then drop. Drop where? To the next structure, to the next structure. Where's the next structure? Right here. And that would be what? The 38. It's that simple, guys. It's not that difficult when you identify the market structure first. Identify it first with nothing on your chart. And then like the fib, for instance, just confirms what you've already identified. The support resistance dots just confirms what you've already identified. And when you're able to do that, then you'll know what position you need to be taking. When are you going to get into the trade, right? When are you going to get into the trade? But knowing this gives you the insight and the foresight and the understanding of what you should be doing because you know what you're waiting for. See, oftentimes what I'm finding is people get into the trades and they're getting in too soon, they're getting in too late, and that's because they have not incorporated market structure and have an understanding of what price is doing. When you understand what price is doing, then that lets you know what you should be doing before you enter the trade. But again, I break it down very simple, very easy. No rocket science here at all. And if this is something that you want to get good at and you want to increase your understanding, certainly get with me, connect with me. If you don't have the system, you need the system. You need the system. Okay. So the link to get the system, access that link, get your system, because I don't do anything without, like, I do teach the basics with or without the system, but it's the system that you really want to have to make that process easier for you. You don't have to wait to learn the basics before you making profit, and the system helps you to do that. So why trade hard when you can trade easy? And that's what the simplicity system allows you to do. Okay. So definitely access those links so that you can get your hands on that and book your session, all that great stuff. So that's what we're waiting on, 38. So I'm expecting for GU, pull back up into this structural area, right? Into that area, pull back up in here, and then come down, break this 23 right around in this area here. Okay, I'm expecting that to happen right around in here where it's closed at, right? On the body, on the body, on the body, right? And then retest the 23 and then drop down to the 38. That's what I'm looking for. So when should you get in, right? The best price, of course, we selling, so we want to sell when price is what? High, right? If you were selling merchandise, you want the best bang for the buck, right? So you want to get the top-notch dollar for it. So we want to sell when price is high. So we want to sell up in this area here. Now, this is where the trading plan comes into play, and understanding, you know, what you're looking for and all of that. That's a different video. That's a separate class, all of that great stuff. This video is just market structure. But in this area is where you want to potentially get into your position. There are confirmations that we have and all of that great stuff to solidify your position. But in this area is where you want to get in and take it down to the drop. It's going to do a slight little pullback and then drop down. So somewhere around in this area is where you would actually get in for a nice 144 pips or so, roughly, because I don't know where price is going to actually stop, but somewhere around in this area on the pullback is where you want to get in. So I'm hoping that that makes sense. I'm going to do one more, and that's going to be USDJPY. Let's go ahead and take our fib off. Okay, so again, where's price? Price is in our supply zone, is in the sell zone, right? And right now, it's not ready yet, right? It's not ready yet. So let's look at structure. Let's go ahead on and identify some structure, right? Because price will always tell you what it wants to do. And if news events and other unforeseen situations don't disturb it, it will do what it, you know, indicates that it wants to do. So I'm only going to identify this area. Well, let me do this one too, because when you see it, right? Consolidation right there. Consolidation right there. Okay. So we're here, big arrow, bearish, says price wants to go down. We're still in an overall bullish move, right? Because it's not ready yet. We're in the zone. We're waiting for sellers to start building up selling pressure, and it will eventually push out of the zone. So that's what happens in these zones, right? So when I look at this, it's just totally not ready at all. Price is still looking like it wants to push up. And because we're still in an overall bullish move here, price can very well push right on out of the zone, right? It can very well do that, okay? Remember, price moves these zones and these indicators. The indicators don't move the price. So this is one that we're just going to wait to see, get some more data. It's not enough data for me to really get you know, an idea of what we want to do. We know we want to sell, of course, but it's just not ready yet. And I do believe that we're going to be pushing up some more. I think we're going to be pushing up some more. On here, we just got our triples, right? And we did get the big arrow, the bearish big arrow. But I think that we have some more bullish momentum going on as well. And let's go to the 4 hour, okay? On the 4 hour, we came out of the demand zone. You see what I'm saying? We came out of the demand zone. And a nice impulsive move up from the demand zone, okay, from the demand zone. And what are we expecting? This structure is everywhere, right? It doesn't matter what time frame. So right here we have our price came down, pushed back up, right, and then did a little drop. So right in that area too, I will be looking at as well, and at least coming up to this point here, okay? And then our next structural area is, of course, right here, where we have a little consolidation going on, okay? Right in here. And what I really like to put my structure right on price, on the closing of price, because that's a hard fixed area, right? But generally, you know, same thing. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. So price is moving up. It's in an impulse. It's in an impulse, okay? When price goes into a correction, we'll see on the hour a push down, because we have the big arrow, the bearish big arrow on the 1 hour. Now, we are going to see a push down on the 1 hour when we get what? A correction on the 4 hour, right? And so once this corrects, we'll see that momentum pulling down. So what we want to look at here is to look and see where we are in relation to structure. This wick is right there, right on. See how it visits? It always revisits those areas. So it revisited that area right here where I put the trend line. You see that? It revisited that area, and what did it do? It pushed back down, and it closed here. Now, are we surprised that it did that? Absolutely not, because price came down, then it pushed up, right? And then it dropped. But this area right here was a pullback. It was a correction. And it came right back to that area with this wick. And what did it do? It pulled back. It pulled back. Okay. Now, this wasn't a correction. It's a pullback. It just pulled back a little bit, but it still closed bullish, right? Because we're in a impulse. This is an impulsive move. Okay. So the price, I'm expecting price to pull back to this area right here, this structural area right here, and it closed right there. So let's go to this area right here, and that's about 28 pips. 28 pips. Now, if price pulls back to this area, 28 pips, and this is just roughly, okay, we're right there, 28 pips down. So that's going to put us pretty much at the bottom of the supply zone box, right? At the bottom of the supply zone box. And that's roughly about the 23. It's like connecting the dots. That's it. So we go, let's put that fib on there, right? So that's on the bottom of the box. Well, we're selling this the opposite, I'm sorry. So that's about the 68. Yeah, 61.8 at the bottom of the box. Yeah. So even better, right? That's a key zone. That's one of those golden areas on the fib. We can expect a reaction on the 68, right? What kind of reaction? A pullback. A pullback. So I'm expecting for price to come down to the 68 and then push back up. I'm expecting it to come down to the 68 and then push back up. Push back up and retest this 78.6. Okay, if it does not break and close above it, I'm expecting for this to come down to the next structural area, which would be my 50, right? And look at this action and look at the line, okay? Simple, without indicators, just reading price and looking at what's going on a higher time frame. See, what this boils down to is just having an understanding of price direction, and price always moves in 3 directions. That's it. It does nothing else. It impulses, it corrects, and it continues. That's all it does. And that's all I demonstrated here, right? And so I'm going to leave it at that. I just wanted to kind of go over some market structure. Hopefully this has been a help to you. And again, if you want some one-on-one time, I totally get it. I do, right? Because you have specific questions and you have a specific way that you're seeing the chart and you may want that clarity. I get it. It's well worth it. I don't break your pocket, right? You just got to pay for the time, but I don't break your pocket. I'm really concerned and I want you to learn it, right? Not so much, let me get on your money. No, that's not my objective, right? That's not my objective. But this is something that once you get it, you can go on here, identify what's going on, and also identify your move, what you're going to do. Okay. And then add the indicators, and the indicators will just confirm what you've already identified. And so that's what we'll do here. And then I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go. 4 hours. We want that to be current. Okay. So the dots should line up with my lines. And as you can see, it does. It does. It does. It does. It does. It's that simple. So again, this is it. All right, I'm gonna go because I'll keep going. I just love what I do, and most importantly, I want to see you win, because trading does not have to be hard. So let's get some one-on-one time. If you don't have the system, access the link, get your system, and then connect with me so that we can get you profiting consistently. You all have a great one, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.